Terminator Survivors has just released a massive FAQ going over the gameplay lore, some of the decisions that they've made revolving around how the gameplay is going to work, and loads of other stuff that the community have been dying to know. Now, if you don't know, Terminator Survivors releases on the 24th of October 2024 into early access. It's developed and published by Nacon Studios Milan, and it looks absolutely amazing. This is a Terminator-based survival game, and a lot of the lore around it revolves around the first two films. So it's not some futuristic one, and it looks really, really cool. Now, a lot of the footage that you're going to see in the background is of the original trailer that they showed. And then, because there's not too much footage out there at the moment, there's some clips in there from my Terminator Resistance playthrough, which I did on the channel 4 years ago. So, pretty damn cool. If you do want to check that playlist out, it is in the top right-hand corner. Now, the team started off by showing their appreciation that the initial trailer got. Now, this trailer was released a few months ago, and we have covered it here and everything that we know so far. That is also in the top right-hand corner now. Now, this is a lot of the frequently asked questions based around the gameplay and how they decided and came to the decision of what part of the Terminator timeline it was going to be in. And it's really cool how they've decided to do it. And I think it's going to be quite a different survival game. Now, the reason they chose this timeline, they say, is for the riveting narrative potential. A chapter of history, captivating yet vastly unexplored. We witness Sarah Connor's efforts to avert Judgment Day, the Resistance struggles against Skynet, and yet, whilst Judgment Day looms large in the Terminator mythos, the aftermath and resilience of survivors and genesis of John Connor's resistance have remained largely untold. So that is what they are planning to do in this game. Now, Sarah Connor originally prevented the Judgment Day of 1997, but Cyberdyne and the birth of Skynet continued, and they were just postponing the inevitable. In September of 2005, Skynet attained self-awareness and initiated the global nuclear assault, resulting in the extermination of billions of people. Now, the people that were distant enough from the epicenters that found refuge in huge anti-nuclear bunkers and had to confront the onset of the new era amidst the radiation and societal collapses. With long-range communication systems offline, people congregated in small, often conflicting communities, striving to secure the scarce resources available. Now, that does answer a few questions about why we're seeing other survivors and how they're going to play into it. So obviously, it's very, very shortly after the bombs fell, so you are coming together and realizing what kind of a wasteland there is out there, and the Cyberdyne and Skynet threat that is looming on you. Now, the game's events take place in 2009, so only shortly after the bombs have been dropped, and the world is affected by radiation, and everything has absolutely been decimated. Alongside that, there's going to be various factions that are competing for dominance over the territories and resources that are available. And at the beginning of the game, because it is story-based survival, it's not just purely survival, there's a lot of story elements to it, many people are still unaware of what caused the bombs to fall and the threat that Skynet actually holds over the rest of the world. But whilst you are trying to rebuild civilization, not knowing about the Skynet threat, they're not just sitting by and taking it. There is one T-800 that is still from 1984. It is out there, and it is going to be hunting you down. Now, one of the main questions was, is it third or first person? The game is going to be a first-person shooter survival game, so obviously that answers the question. It is a first-person view only. The game will also be playable in single-player offline mode through an original story, and obviously I'm hoping a lot of those crafting and base building elements are in that original story as well. But you don't have to face the wasteland alone. There is PvE, so you can have up to 3 friends join you for that survival journey, but there is no plans for future PvP elements. The game is also going to be in Unreal Engine 5, and that is what they are working with. They are planning to continue development through that, and there are so many beautiful things that come from Unreal Engine 5, so I do hope that this game looks stunning. And judging from some of the screenshots that we've seen so far, I do think that it will be an absolutely beautiful background, and the scenery we're going to be playing with is going to be amazing. Now, there's also a base building feature to the game. It's a survival game, so of course there has to be that base building elements. Now, at the beginning of the game, you can't build a base. It is just starting out. You go into somebody else's camp. As the story unfolds, the camp is very much tied into the storyline. So then, as it continues, you have the opportunities to expand your base through constructing and enhancing facilities. So I think it could be something along the lines of the State of Decay building system, potentially. Not 100% sure. Hopefully we find out a little bit more on that in the foreseeable future. There's also going to be many ways to travel around the wasteland because there are multiple drivable vehicles that are available to you. And the vehicle system aims to support players' movements across the game world and the gameplay flows, creating various exploration experiences, encouraging tactical thinking, and promoting multiplayer cooperation. But as mentioned beforehand, the game is fully playable in a solo experience. Now, more for the lore and why they made a lot of the decisions they did. Judgment Day is in 2005, and obviously people say, why was that? What was the thoughts behind that? The original Judgment Day was in 1997, but it was averted in Terminator 2, and during the game, you discover the events that happened after the Terminator 2 and before the start of the game. So they're pretty much discounting the films after number 2. Which, let's be honest, the first 2 films were the best anyway. Now, as mentioned, it is a narrative and story-driven survival experience, so the game features a rich and original storyline alongside secondary storylines and quests, each shedding light on the world's history and the inhabitants of it. Through the journey, players will cross paths with iconic figures from the movies, as well as fresh faces pivotal to the timeline. Now, as mentioned, you have one solitary T-800 hunting you throughout the game. Now, they have made that decision because the game unfolds in 2009, just after Judgment Day, so Skynet's production capabilities weren't at their peak yet. Obviously, everything was completely decimated, so Skynet still would have had to rebuild certain factories and certain parts to create as many machines as possible. So you've got that T-800 still out there hunting you around. That's not to say there's not going to be any other elements of Skynet, so other little machines that are floating around. Hopefully there's a lot more than just the T-800, but from the screenshots we've seen so far, it seems like there's going to be a lot of fighting amongst other survivors as well. But another reason they chose the single T-800 is because the tone and atmosphere, and they wanted to capture the essence of the first 2 films, where the looming threat of an unstoppable machine instilled a sense of dread and urgency. By featuring one lone T-800 as the relentless antagonist, players are immersed in an atmosphere of constant peril and tension. Much like the protagonists in the movies, players will experience the harrowing sensation of being hunted by an adversary that knows no mercy and cannot be reasoned with. The inclusion of a single T-800 in the game not only serves to uphold the integrity of the franchise's lore, but also deliver an immersive gameplay experience that pays homage to the films that inspired it. Now, honestly, all of that sounds really, really cool. I think there's going to be more story than survival, but I do hope there's a good chunk of that survival element in there. The Terminator Resistance game was pretty damn cool, but that was mainly an FPS game. Now, if you do want to know a little bit more, check out all the links in the description below that lead to the team's socials, and there will be a beta phase coming closer to early access in October, so make sure you stick around and follow the socials for that one. As soon as we get some more news, I'll let you guys know what's going on. I'm very excited for this. For now, though, I've been Wyatt. You've been awesome. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.